Hey there guys, it's the Butter Baron here, and today we will be doing a special video on how to team build in Pokemon Showdown. So I've seen some people having trouble with this, and I thought I would make a video addressing this issue. So that what we're going to be talking about today are just building your core team. We're going to be going over sweepers, tanks, stall, and of course your mega. Now, most of this will be for singles, and I will put some, as much as I can, about doubles in there as well. So, as not to make more than one video, because I really don't want to do that. That's too much editing for me. Anyway, let's get on, and we are going to start by clicking the Team Builder tab from the home screen, and we are going to click New Team, and when you select a format, I believe to be the best are the battle spot ones. You can do any of these, but Smogon rules are weird, and you might not want to deal with that. So we're just going to go battle spot singles because we can, and we are going to add a Pokemon. So let's get on into how to make a sweeper. So when you're choosing a sweeper, you're going to want something with a lot of speed and or attack stats. So we're just going to click on attack. There's a lot of megas, of course, because that's what they do. And we are going to look for something that's not a legendary. I do not encourage using legendaries because I just don't like them. So a classic sweeper we have here is Garchomp. So Garchomp is a cool mon. It's got some pretty good stats. It's got a high speed stat and a high attack stat. It's pretty bulky for a sweeper, which is nice on the HP stat. And you're going to want to look for speed or HP and some attack or special attack on your sweepers. So when you're making one, you're going to want to start with the ability. You're going to want to choose an ability that most benefits your team. So Sandveil, if a sandstorm is active, this Pokemon's evasiveness is 1.25 times immunity to sandstorm. Now, if you were running a sand team, like a sandstorm team, with say Tyranitar on it, or Hippowdon, something with Sandstream, this would be a good ability. But if you're not, I would go for the Rough Skin, as it is the most likely to help you in a battle, because Pokemon making contact with this Pokemon lose 1/8 of their max HP. So we're going to click that, and now it's Rough Skin. Now, with an item for sweepers, you could go anywhere from there's a lot of popular items here. Some popular items for sweepers are Life Orb, which just gives you some more damage in exchange for a little bit of HP each turn. We've got Assault Vest, which allows you to only select damaging moves but gives you some more livability with that special defense. Garchomp needs that for those ice beams. You could also do Choice Scarf. That's another popular item for sweepers. Choice Band if you're a physical attacker, and Choice Specs if you are a special attacker. That just lets you use one move, but it gives you some more speed or attacks or special attack depending on the item. Focus Sash is another one for those frail sweepers that most likely won't survive a hit. It just lets it survive a hit with 1 HP. And there are some others that you can use. For some Pokemon that are extremely weak to ground, I recommend Air Balloon, but we're just going to leave that blank for now until we choose our move set. So when you're looking for moves with a sweeper, you're going to want to look for a few things. You're going to want to look for stab, same type attack boost. So what that is um, if you think about it, say you have Dragon Claw. Garchomp is a dragon type, and Dragon Claw is a dragon move. Now, since those are the same type, the Dragon Claw gets a boost in power by 2 times. So that works with any type. You could also take Earthquake, and that also works for stab. You're going to want, with your sweepers, at least 1 or 2 stab moves. You're also going to want to look for additional effects and priority, coverage, which just means you're covering your weaknesses and trying to get as many super effective hits as you can. And of course, there's that classic protect if you want that, and there's that setup. Setup is basically you just raise your stats and then you go into the attack. For some Pokemon, I don't recommend that, but with bulkier Pokemon like Garchomp, I think we can get away with it. So, since Garchomp isn't a physical attacking Pokemon, you are going to want to choose physical moves, which is marked with these little POW symbols, as I like to call them. So, we're just going to choose Dragon Claw, because I already went over that with the stab. And we're going to use Earthquake, not only because it's stab, but also because it has... Oh, wait, that's Earth Power. It's supposed to be Earthquake. It hits adjacent Pokemon in doubles, if you're into that. And let's... for coverage, you can do something like Fire Fang to cover that ice weakness. 4 times ice weakness. And since Fire Fang is a physical move, that helps it a lot. And you can go like... You could go for a substitute, but I'm not really... I've never really seen a Garchomp with that. That'd be interesting to see. Anyway, and you can also just go for the... you could use Rock Slide, because that hits adjacent Pokemon. 30% chance to flinch. Or, if you're running in singles, you probably don't want Rock Slide. You could use the Stone Miss, aka Stone Edge. But, of course, you want to balance your power with your accuracy to get the most out of your moves. What else could we use here? You could use Iron Head, 30% chance to flinch, physical move, and you can kill fairies with that steel type. So, here we have our Garchomp. Since it has all... Well, we could... Like I said before, we could put a Life Orb on that. And that's one sweeper done. Now, if you want to... I would recommend having anywhere from 1 to 3 sweepers on your team, depending on what your team is. Of course, no 2 teams are, well, I say they're not going to be the same, but look at the... Just look at the higher ranking, and you'll see a definite pattern in their teams. That's what you call unoriginal. That we'll get into Skarmory later. But I did not mean to click that. So, if we want a special attacking sweeper, we can click the special attack button up here, and we can scroll down to where we're not in all the legendaries and megas. good sweeper for special attack is, of course, the Chandelure. Highest non-mega, non-legendary special attack stat in the game. Oh, right. Of course, I forgot to mention EVs and IVs. So, when you're doing this, you're going to want to what I always say is you're going to want to usually play to your strengths. And by that I mean you put 252, which is the max in a stat, into attack, 252 into speed, and put the remaining 4 into a stat of your choice. Since you are not using special attacks, you're not going to want to put that. I would not recommend. But if you want a little bit more survivability, you could put those last 4 into HP. And if you wanted to, say, run this as a tank chomp, we'll get into that later. So you can also click these little suggestions up here to see what that is. And also don't forget to look at your nature. For this one, you can put adamant plus attack minus special attack, or jolly plus speed minus special attack, since you're not using that stat at all. So we're just gonna go with the jolly, and now we get back into our special sweeper. So we are just going to go into this ability, look at its abilities, and say, what do we want as this ability? Now, if you were in doubles and you had a move like, I don't know, maybe Heat Wave? I don't know. Lava Plume? You could use this Flash Fire. This Pokemon's fire attacks do 1.5 times damage if hit by one fire move. And it gives it a fire immunity. So that could be really powerful in doubles. But if you're not running doubles, this probably wouldn't be such a good choice. You can also use the Flame Body, which 30% chance a Pokemon making contact with this Pokemon will be burned. But since this is a ghost type, most people won't be trying to punch it, so maybe that wouldn't be a good idea either. Or this last hidden ability, Infiltrator, moves ignore substitutes and opposing reflect, light screen, safeguard, and mist. Now what this means is you can hit through substitutes and any of this stuff. You basically just, if they have a substitute out, you basically just take them out anyway. You don't even acknowledge that the substitute or whatever it is there. So again, with the moves, you can do of course, don't forget the stab, but in this case, since it has such a high special attack stat, we are going to want to use special moves marked by this water little wave ripple things. And yeah, so we're going to start with the natural. Of course, you're going to want to start with stab move. Heat Wave is pretty good for doubles. It hits both opponents, 10% chance to burn. But if you're not in doubles, you can go with the Overheat. Of course, that lowers your special attack by 2. Also, good base power, but accuracy less than perfect. You could also go and Shadow Ball. That's another stab move, since it's fire ghost type. 20% chance to lower the target's special defense by 1. I do not see this happen often, but it could be pretty devastating to your foes if it actually procs. Now, you can also use some setup moves such as Calm Mind, which, I deleted that, but anyway, it raises your special attack and special defense by 1, so it gives you more power when you're attacking, as well as making you a bit tankier yourself. So you can also do, for coverage, you could use like Dark Pulse and Clear Smog I like because it eliminates the target's stat changes. So if they're going for like Dragon Dance shenanigans or a bunch of swords dances, you could just swoop in with that Clear Smog, not do too much damage, but still basically devastate them by taking away those stats. Um, Hex, Hex, Hex Will-O-Wisp is a pretty good combo on Chandelure, but that's more of the stall side, which we will get into later. If you want, you can use Energy Ball for the water types, or maybe you want to hit whatever it is, psychic hits, poison, uh, fighting, stuff like that. So that is going to be 2 sweepers so far, but what do we want to do here? Now, since it is such a good special attacker, you can give it the choice specs, but once, well, actually it's setting up, so maybe not choice specs, maybe, well, this could be where Air Balloon comes into effect, because now you can't be hit by ground types, because a big misconception with floating Pokemon is that they cannot be hit by ground moves, but that's only if they have the levitate ability, which this does not have. So again, you're going to want to play to your strengths, so go fully invest into the special attack. You might want to be a bit slower depending on, or you might want to be a bit, you might want to be fast and go with the full speed investment, or you might want to be a bit bulkier and survive some more hits with that HP, or you might want to go 50-50 and then like put the remaining 4 into, I don't know, special defense. And that could be your EVs and IVs. And we could go with a modest nature, because we are not using that attack stat. And that's going to be all for the sweepers. Next we will be doing megas. So when you are choosing your mega, well actually, no, I lied. We are not doing megas next, we are doing tanks next. So what is a tank? A tank usually has some pretty good HP defense or special defense stats, or maybe it has quite a bit of all three. So, a really famous tank that no one likes to deal with is Shuckle. Everyone loves Shuckle. Everyone loves to use it, but no one wants to come across it. So, as you can see, this is the perfect example of a tank. Usually doesn't have too much of any other stat but the defenses. See, it only has like 5 speed. What is this? So, sturdy. If this Pokemon is at full HP, it survives one hit with at least 1 HP. Immune to one hit KO moves. So, basically, this is a great ability for tanks because that means they cannot get bodied by those one hit KO moves that like Mega Pidgeot likes to run and stuff. So some items that tanks like to use are things like, again, Air Balloon with some of the rock types and stuff. Assault Vest, also a popular move if you're not raising your own bulk. Eviolite for things like Chansey and Dusclops and other things that evolve but are, which sometimes in some cases actually makes them stronger. Another very popular move for tanks is the leftovers, which basically just gives you some HP every turn. Lumberry if you don't want to get statused, and some Rocky Helmet, or sit if you don't want to be hit by a contact move or you want to punish those who do hit you, and Citrus Berry if you just want to heal up if you are a little bit low. There are some other options, but I won't go into those. So we're just going to put the leftovers on here, and we are going to look for some moves that raise all our stats. So, do we have those? You could look for moves that help you set up, say, acupressure. You could raise a random stat of yours. That could be a good thing. You could do you could do the, well, hold on, scroll back up here. You could do the sticky web and lower your speed of grounded foes by 1. So that could be some good stuff. You could also use the substitute if you want to not get hit by something for a couple turns, or maybe just one. Depends on your opponent. Rest and other sustain moves can be pretty effective, but if you run rest, you can also just like do the Chesto Resto stat, which basically you use rest and then the Chesto Berry wakes you up immediately, but of course then you don't have an item, so then if you rest again, you have no means of waking up. But Shuckle doesn't care, so we're just going to slap the rest leftovers back on. You could do things like Gyro Ball if you're slow. More power the slower the user than the target. Most tanks are pretty slow. Or if you just want to get fast, you can just use the Rock Polish or something like that. Stealth Rock is also a popular tank move. You are just like setting up and making it so the opponent has a really bad day. And Toxic, we'll go into that later. So you could also use moves like Gastro Acid. Basically makes it so say if you run across a Mega Kangaskhan, you can just hit it with the Gastro Acid and bam, it doesn't have the parental bond anymore, so it has to switch out if it wants that back, or it could stay in and get wrecked by your teammate if you are in doubles. Overall, not too many options on Shuckle, but we'll get into that later. So you could also use the Ancient Power on some to raise for a chance to raise all of your stats. And of course, when you go into this, you just want to, if you're not sure whether to invest in the defense or special defense, just go into the HP, and then just go like 50-50. Of course, you're not going to need much of anything else because, well, there's not much to work with here, offensive-wise. So maybe just put this last little bit into speed. Maybe outspeed those 25 base speed Pokemon. I don't know if there's any of those. And then you can just like choose any old thing that increases special defense or defense. Now, another popular tank is, of course, the Ferrothorn. So it's got, so on the abilities, Anticipation, not really used much on it, but the Iron Barbs makes it a pretty good tank because, of course, it's kind of like the Rough Skin. If it hits you physically and it makes contact with you, it loses 1/8 of their max HP. So we could go and we could put on the Rocky helmet, make it do even more damage when someone hits you, and that's pretty good for tanks. Of course, again, low speed stat, pretty good defenses, not bad on the HP, not bad on attack either, but that's not its main purpose. So if we look at this, we have here again we have Stealth Rock, we have Rock Polish, we even have Sword Stance for some reason. We have the Curse, which on non-ghost types it gives you +1 attack, +1 defense, and -1 speed. You could also go into Double Team because you want to like just avoid every attack. Just spam double team, although most people won't like you for that. They might call you noobs and stuff. Anything that raises your defenses is a pretty good move on a tank. You could also get that sustain by doing Ingrain or something, but of course then you trap yourself, or some Pokemon have that Magnet Rise, which allows them, it's basically like Air Balloon but in a move form. We have the do we even have anything else? Okay, so I guess I'm not doing too well on the guess we're not doing too well on the examples, huh? You have the Harden. Not many people use that though. You have Flash if you just want to cut the foe's accuracy instead of the double team. So those could be pretty effective. And then of course you have the Toxic if you want to be tanky. Also Substitute again. Or you could do like Rest, Sleep Talk, because that's a pretty good combo because you can rest, and then the Sleep Talk allows you to randomly choose one of these moves. But of course, you can get that Sleep Talk rest, which basically wastes your turn. And then you also have the Protect. That's another good move on tanks. But of course, you still want to have at least one damaging move. Heck, you could have Giga Drain, so you get even more sustain. And that's going to complete my rambling about tanks. Next, we will be going into Stall. Now, when choosing a Stall Pokemon, some good Stall Pokemon include Sableye, a lot of Ghost types, Klefki, of course. Also, anything with Prankster is a good Stall Pokemon. Mega Sableye, Skarmory, and yeah. So then we are going to just, oh, by the way, there's a Genesect event going on if you guys wanted to know. Go to GameStop and get that Genesect. In your full games, not like just this stuff. Anyway, Stall, you could have things like Blissey or just Eviolite Chansey. That's a thing. There's stuff like Scrafty, Klefki. Oh, by the way, with the tanks, you're going to want to have at least one defense tank and one special defense tank on your team, or you could have Shuckle or something like it that has both stats to go behind it. Now, Clefable, also a pretty good stall. Also, Ferrothorn can be, Gliscor, basically any Pokemon can be a stall Pokemon. because every Pokemon gets toxic, almost. So we're just gonna go with the classics and do Sableye, and since we are doing stall, no, you do not click stall. That's dumb. This Pokemon moves last among Pokemon using the same or greater priority moves. That's dumb. Now, Prankster, this Pokemon's non-damaging moves had their priority increased by 1. So that means when you use Toxic, that's twice. I don't know what that is. Anyway, badly poisoned the target, and of course you get to move before anyone else does. You also can fake out. Fake out is a good move because hits first turn out only, but it has a 100% flinch chance. Make sure that Pokemon that you hit with it does not move at all that turn. So another good thing I see is you have the Swagger, which raises the target's attack by 2 and confuses it. Now, why does it do this? Well, confusion is based on the Pokemon that's confused attack stat. If it's high, when it hits itself in confusion, it does some pretty good damage. But if its attack is low, then if it hits itself in a confusion, it won't do that much. But you could do like swag. What was it? Was it? It was. I forget what it was. But Will-O-Wisp, another good one. We have the. The swag play. So you swagger and then you foul play, because foul play uses the target's attack stat in damage calculation instead of yours. Or maybe you wanted to make yourself a tank with that Calm Mind. Priority Calm Mind. That works pretty well. You can have knockoff to remove any items. Of course, it doesn't remove Mega Stones. I've already had that idea. I looked it up and it did not work. Magic Coat, if you want to prevent other stalls from getting you, bounces back certain non-damaging moves such as Will-O-Wisp and Swagger. We also have Pain Split for the sustain. Shares HP of user and target equally. So if you have less HP than the target, then yours goes up and theirs goes down. So you also have things like Substitute again, Sucker Punch for priority. You have Taunt. Taunt is a really common one. For 3 turns, the target can't use status moves. So if you use Taunt on a stall Pokemon, that can shut them down completely, and they might have to switch out. Recover. Wait, Sableye gets Recover? Oh crap. I did not even realize that. Welp. This Pokemon's broken. Anyway, we're not here to ramble on about Sableye. You also have things like Astonish. If you want a yeah, no, not Astonish. Confuse Ray can be good, but yeah, it can be good. It can be pretty good. So you can just you can use Double Team for the stall again. Just you can just sometimes you can actually cause people to forfeit with stall Pokemon, which of course wins you the game. And there's some other stuff like you have hold on, let me find it. So you have Torment, which makes the target not select a move twice in a row. And then you can have the Encore. I know Sableye doesn't get it, but certain Pokemon get both of these moves. Encore makes it so that the target repeats its last move for 3 turns. So if you Torment and then Encore, or maybe you have a Pokemon with each move in doubles, use them both on the same Pokemon, and then it can only use Struggle, and then it struggles itself to death. Or if you just torment a regular choice itemed Pokemon. Yeah, there's a lot of options here with the stall. It really depends on what you want. So we're just gonna leave that there. And finally, we will get on to megas now. Oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. Oh, we've been behind here. Right, so on the Ferrothorn, you can, again, put into HP, split it evenly, and then, like, put 4 extra into special defense, because it is 4 times weak to that fire. Oh, also with the tanks, you're also going to want to have good combinations of typings that have one or less, or that have 2 or less weaknesses are usually going to be good defensive types. Anyway, now on to the Mega. So you have all of your Pokemon here. So you have all of these stuffs. So what Mega are you going to use for this? Are you going to use Mega Charizard? Wait. If you type in Mega, it comes up with Meganium, which is not a Mega, by the way. Just making sure that you know that. So, and then lists all the Megas. Of course, Deontay, uh, Rayquaza, and of course the Mewtwo's are not going to be able to be used, mostly because, well, they're legendaries. But if you're in like Ubers, then yeah, you can use them. But otherwise, you usually can't use them. So all Mega Pokemon can be really good, but there are certain ones that are pretty good. Of course, everyone knows about Mega Kangaskhan if you're into competitive stuff. It's got that parental bond, and it's a very scary Pokemon. So we're just going to use that as an example. Of course, you can't have an item on a Mega because it has to hold its Mega Stone. Ability, don't forget to choose your ability on your Mega before Mega Evolving. So this will be Parental Bond after Mega Evolving, but you can still choose what it is before it Mega Evolves. So Early Bird, not usually going to be a very big help. Inner Focus can be useful, but Scrappy is usually what you want on Kangaskhan because you can hit Ghost types with normal and fighting type moves, which are basically this entire Pokemon's moveset. So, of course, with a Mega, you are going to want to take advantage of its ability. Of course, everyone knows about the dreaded the Fakiscon. That's what I'm going to call it. Fake out Kangaskhan. Basically hits you twice because of that parental bond. And of course, 100% flinch chance, hits first turn out only. So when it comes out and it flinches you first turn, and it can shut some stuff down that way. It also gets things like Drain Punch for sustain, hits twice, Power Up Punch. I see that a lot. Where's it at? There it is. 100% chance to raise the user's attack by 1. So if you use this, then it raises your attack stat by 2 since the parental bond. Of course, as you can see, most of these moves are taking advantage of the ability. Sucker Punch for more priority and to get rid of those ghost types. Of course, you could always just not Mega Evolve the first turn you come out and just stay on that Scrappy and then fake them out. that could be a thing, but then you won't hit twice, so it's kind of a delicate balance. Um, then you are going to have a lot of other moves, such as Ice Punch. Ice moves in particular are really powerful in the metagame because there are so many things that are 4 times weak to ice. Also fire moves, because of things like Ferrothorn, Scizor, Genesect, which you probably won't see that much, and Fortress, again, you won't see that much. So yeah, and then you're going to want to you're of course going to want to fully invest in that attack because all of these moves are physical. Because look at this. Which one would you rather do? Which one would you rather have it using? The 60 base power, or the 60 base special attack, or the 125 base attack? I think you'd go with the attack. So, and then again, you can either. That's a new Pokemon. Confirmed. Anyway, you're going to want to either make it bulky and give it that HP, or speed for outspeeding other things and just getting just getting those wrecks. Then the 4 points in the other stat. And there you have it. That is the basics of how you build a team. Of course, there is a couple of other things that you want to do before you go and you battle with it. First of all, you're going to want to check for weaknesses. So this is ice, main weakness. There's some water here. I believe Shuckle is a bit weak to water, but since it's so tanky, I don't think it matters. Fire, fairy, and fighting. So, seems that we have some pretty good coverage here. So, ability. Item on a on a stall Pokemon, you can have leftovers, Focus Sash. Lumberry is a pretty useful one. Other stuff can be comboed, like the Absorb Bulb or something like that. And Zolfest, not really too particularly good. And then, of course, you can do some stuff. And there you have it, guys. We have our team. And before we go, I want to tell you one thing. Do not comment that this does not work, because I'm not telling you to literally go and make this exact team. I'm just giving you what you need to know to make your own team. Because if every team were the same, it would get pretty boring. Just like it is there at the top in VGC, the Video Game Championships. If you look at those teams, they're pretty much all the same. And there's a reason for that. It's because, well, first of all, those Pokemon are overused anyway. Second of all, they don't have any creativity. And if you want to be creative, you gotta start with your favorite Pokemon and then work some sort of strategy around it. There's sun teams, there's rain teams, there's trick room teams, there's sandstorm teams, there's hail teams, all kinds of teams. You do not have to run the meta. I'm not encouraging you to run the meta. I'm just giving you examples of popular ones in case you do want to run the meta. But anyway, that's going to be all for today. My voice is tired, so I should probably go get a drink. And hope you enjoyed. Hope you learned something from this video. And if you did, put it in the comments below. Consider subscribing if you want to for some good battles with some creative teams in doubles. And yeah. Butter Baron out.